do Freecs go all in and ban that one away as well? The Rise to take a hit here.
Non-standard already, right? When it comes to the picks. Now, Rise usually lanes into Aatrox and Urgot well. Aatrox and Urgot are available. Like you say, LeBlanc ban. Afreeca are very much fishing Atlas. That's why they banned the Lee Sin, and now the LeBlanc, they're saying, we want a specific overpowered champion. Akali is open. Aatrox is open, and a big jungle flex pick as well. Lucian also will make it through. Until now, Lucian will be banned. Galio also open.
Galio, Urgot, like Aatrox,
the only reason to double ban like this is to reach. And they haven't reached Atlas. They first picked Victor on blue side. It is a three-way flex, but you're basically inviting Hanwha Life to go tier list and feel great about it. So I hope that we can look down the Afreeca Freecs 5 champions when they're locked in and understand why they've been happy to leave a paddock of OP champions open.
Yeah, the Urgot is going to be the first one locked in. Aatrox is the first one that comes to mind that is ridiculously strong, but we saw it lose in the hands of the Afreeca Freecs.
Scion could be taken with the Urgot if you want to take away good Urgot matchups. The Galio is the one we're thinking and will be claimed. Do you go Xayah Rakan? Because then I feel like the Victor is in kind of a weird spot, because I like Victor against Xayah Rakan, and I like it as a bot lane flex. The Aatrox is actually pretty bonkers to make it through this far in the draft.
Yeah,
I would hazard a guess we won't see this again. Third round of picks being an Aatrox. Very, very, just unbelievably powerful because of how good the jungle Aatrox is at the moment with Aftershock. Gonna be locked in here, and man, it just feels like every champion picked so far is S tier.
It is. Even if this Lissandra is locked in, continuing along that vein, of course we could have all of our lanes filled out with these particular champions, but also likely that Spirit is going to be taking that Aatrox to the jungle. A lot of things confusing, a lot of things could change on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. This was the Afreeca drafting that we used to love back in 2018.
Until it just became 9.1 drafting, as many teams have shown us. Hanwha Life, no real point taking Rakan here because the Xayah can just be banned away, and Rakan X, you lose a lot of the power of the Rakan in the 2v2. So Xin Zhao just taken purely for power. Bono jumping on to the tier list Hail of Blades Xin Zhao and the ability to impact, say for example, the Victor if he is in a solo lane. And the jungle bans begin, so some skepticism being shown. Spirit's been playing a lot of stuff, and not so much in solo queue, of course, but always someone you can trust to put 50 games into whatever the latest pick in. But I do agree, it doesn't feel like a standard pick for him, the Aatrox. So because of that, Hanwha Life will show the same skepticism and say, hey, what about that Karthus in the second round?
Well, this is the thing. You look towards that Karthus and you're thinking, wait, hang on a second. Could be a possibility now for the Afreeca Freecs. Hanwha Life could also do the same thing. They've banned the Olaf on their side, which is quite curious. And the Ezreal going to be taken away from Sangyu.
I like that one, but where does it leave the AD carry pool? It feels like Sivir suddenly might be the best AD carry left over with Lucian, Ezreal banned away and the Xayah deprioritized. Hanwha Life seem to tend to agree and say, look, let's work it out. Let's look for a counter pick or a favorable matchup here.
Already,
Varus Tahm Kench would probably be the strongest 2v2 blind. It's not going to be blind, as Afreeca maybe going for a Spirit favorite. Seems like we've been inclined to agree with it being unlikely to be an Aatrox jungle for Spirit. As a player, his Nocturne legendary, and his Nocturne locked in.
Proud going to be hovering the key special in the Bard.
But what is the Proud special? We don't know. There is so little information. He's not playing solo queue, and it's his first professional game. Will he be going for power? Will it be going for a choice? He thinks about a lot of things, and he doesn't want to deal with too much in terms of engage. He's got the Nocturne diving in, and I guess Lissandra will have to be the dive buddy here, as Victor will be the bot lane carry for the side of Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, it's very interesting that they've gone for a Braum. It's harder to stack up the passive when you are a caster like the Victor, even if he is one that does like to auto-attack a little bit more.
Auto Q into the Q auto, I guess, trade there is interesting in Hanwha Life. They survey everything. They choose a pick that works with their comp rather than one that can interact very meaningfully with the enemy, as they have a lot of crowd control on the side of Hanwha Life. A lot of setup for the Plasma there. They will go Kai'Sa, kind of the LPL favorite right now when it comes to tier list AD carries without any bans being thrown in. Afreeca Freecs, like you say, it's a bit different. It's definitely a different look. They seemed a little bit at odds with each other.
Yeah.
When we saw them a couple of days ago against SKT. Now aiming goes back to his roots, which was a lot of the awesome dudes in the summer season. they're just going to try to wave clear away. But if Hanwha Life just gets 100 AD and an evolved Q onto Sangyun, they'll feel pretty good about farming out this game until 2 items are done on the Kai'Sa.
And after the ban phase was just so incredibly weird, this draft just feels like one of the strangest that we've seen so far. And if looking at the tier list and looking at the different squads, you can see that so much has gone through, but who has managed to pick up the most cohesive combination of all of these champions is really hard to tell at this point.
Dive Buddies here, situational for the Nocturne, so you always worry a bit that if Spirit isn't 4 or 5 kills, that things can go wrong. I imagine Sterex and GA are going to come in very early to allow us baby him a bit and allow him to buy some time. You look at this enemy side, though, here. You inspect this one closely on the side of Hanwha Life, and you say, man, wasn't this begging for a Sivir? Sivir looked like it would be the god tier pick here to guarantee the Urgot and the Xin Zhao could close distance in teamfights and give them reliable wave clear. The Kai'Sa's pulled off and can reposition. That can allow him to be very elusive. So in the end, you like some parts, you question others, and you want to see it unfold to purely unpack some of the positives and negatives of the draft in game number 1.
I completely agree with you. We are onto the rift for game number 1 of Afreeca versus Hanwha Life Esports. Okay, starting this one off, yes, we do have some fan cheers, but a sepia screen will greet you. So we're going to start this one off with a little bit more unpacking, Pop Smithy, and with these sort of team compositions, I'm sure we're happy to go through exactly what they're going to be capable of as this game moves on.
Are you a good packer when you're going for a big trip
I'm
out?
Terrible. And not necessarily as, like, do I know what to pack? It's more like, do I fold things and appropriately place them? Yeah, well, like, that part, I'm terrible at it. Knowing what to pack, I'm good at it.
So you're a theoretical packer. You're like, I know what I need.
I know what I need, I just put it in wrong.
But effectively, it's just...
Yeah,
So how do you solve that? Are you just like, well, it's all going to be...
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do a load of washing when I get there. I have to get the iron at the hotel. Like, are you just slamming it all into the suitcase?
Yeah, I'm the iron at the hotel kind of guy. Thankfully, now that we're bringing a lot of suits around, things like that, I got the suit bag and I put that in a certain compartment.
That's true.
In
it's
my
hard
bag.
to mess that one.
Yeah, it's hard to mess that one up, but otherwise, it's just like cables and everything, and it's terrible.
What about when it comes to specifically shirts? Because I feel like everyone has a different solution to how to pack shirts. Some people roll them up into the tube.
I tried
Some
that
people try to go on YouTube and look up the foldy techniques.
Yeah.
Every time I fold and I'm around my family, my mother looks at me and shakes her head. She's like, I taught you,
That's
son.
actually my problem as well. I feel like I actually just gave up because my mom's so good at it. You know, and you like, she unpacks her bag and it's like she's Mary Poppins and everything just pops around the room and she turns a tent into a lively living room.
Exactly, and I'm the sort of person where if I see that one of my family members is really good at something, I'm like, okay, I can offload that responsibility, and now I can unpack League of Legends like they unpack luggage.
Hey, there you go. So you've taken all of their teachings on board, not applied it to actually packing, and taken it here.
This is my lifestyle choice, purely of, why don't I min-max the things I'm really good at and minimize the things I'm not so good at?
Yeah, sometimes focus on what you're good at is certainly a good policy if you can offload. And speaking of offloading, we're not going to be having a podcast. We're going to be onto the Rift. He's proud, making his debut here with the Afreeca Freecs and just in general. Back in Korea, Challenger, then soon in gaming, now to Afreeca.
A really big game. This is actually a really big best of 3 for me because it's the 2 teams I have really no full opinion on. I have half an opinion on both. And that's not just, oh, they've played once, it's time for a second time. I didn't need to see Jin Air play a second time to know they'll struggle. I thought Afreeca, with the lineup they'd put together, could be a real contender. And
me too.
First data point was, well, SKT seems much better than them. And that means something to a point. And what point we'll know probably in the course of the next 3 hours.
And this top side of the map, on paper to me, just from all of the player swaps that came in, with what we knew, looked like one of the strongest, if not the strongest.
I mean, Keen, Spirit, Yukal. I'm just sitting there being like, these solo laners
guys
are
go
young.
in.
They love to practice. They're going to be super talented. Yukal already gave interviews. Why did you leave KT and jump to Afreeca? He heard the reputation of Afreeca playing 20 internal scrims a day and said, yes, please, I want to opt into that. And speaking of opting in.
Yeah, you got 3 buttons at the start of the game, does Keen. So he's able to help things out in this trade against Tal, but does come off the lesser, I guess.
I'd like to know how the top side goes with a pressure jungler, and maybe that's purely Dread versus Spirit. When Dread plays, he plays Camille and aggressive. When Spirit's played so far, it's been farming junglers. The farming might be short-lived, as we know an enemy jungler is topside. Bono going to be spotted by the Ghost Borrow. Seeing many more laners pick this one up because it's kind of like a control ward that you get at level 1.
Yep. And Keen able to stop himself from dying to that level 2. Spirit making his way over. Will he be able to win this trade? I think the answer might be no. But he's still going to go for it. Does have himself the fear. Keen gets inside track as they try to lock down Bono. Gets the knock up. Keen is too damn good on the Aatrox. Hits every button. And now Tal himself has to walk away.
And Nocturne becomes a skirmishing jungler. Now we see him actually impact a lane rather than farming on the back foot as Karthus. The answer to your query at the beginning was no, Atlas, but the no but part was that Keen had the closer route to potentially contest there. Sinjo only goes one way. Tal!
Yeah, he's actually flashing after Keen here. Flashes over the wall. They're going to trade. Not sure if that's entirely in Tal's favor, but that was an odd maneuver from Keen after the back was stopped.
And I got to say, Bono misread the scenario on the Xin Zhao there and was too late to try to get out of it. Bono has been a true up-and-down player as Spirit tilts Tal to no end.
How many backs have been stopped so far? As that's why that Dustbringer is the best, because look at the spooky ghosts that fly up. They're so adorable.
You know you're an old fogey when it comes to League of Legends when you remember that when this skin first came into the game, it didn't even have a Q animation. They had to add it later.
Yep.
They added it later. It looks sweet. And you know what? Bono just really misjudged this one. He had so many good moments game 2 and 3 that maybe Bono's a game 2 superstar, because game 1 so far, he stripped himself up a couple of times.
And also, I guess even in the games that Bono looked good when he was over in BBQ, which certainly wasn't that many, but he was able to win more when he had that opportunity, right? In the jungle, they didn't often win those games, often they were thrown. However, he was the one that looked good if he got a good start. This is a game where he hasn't had a good start, and this is where I want to see him be able to bounce back, because this is the style of his League of Legends that we have not seen actually work.
And mentality on Xin Zhao from behind is actually a really tricky thing for a player who, with very few stage victories, is going to feel a bit short on confidence, because now you're like, crap, the scaling jungler got the kill involvement on me. I really want to get things done pre-6, because that's where my champion's just better, right? Because Nocturne is going to be power farming to level 6 mostly. So now you feel forced to keep going when you're slightly behind, when you have less camps and maybe less damage. You're level 3 instead of level 4 perhaps. And that's where you can double trip. And when you double trip, you don't get back up, is what we've learned in the LCK. But like Peanut's Camille game was the best indication of that. The moment he went for the full-on turret dive, there was really no saving himself. He'd made 2 significant mistakes. Bono's made the first significant mistake. Can he find a way to bounce back positively?
Yeah, and this is sort of the game that can prove, to me at least, that Bono has changed. That Bono is not that that player that has been the butt of some jokes recently and in 2018.
I mean, we did spend all of his first game playing making YouTube jokes.
Yeah, that's true.
We named.
I mean, that wasn't the butt of jokes because of him as a player.
That was the laugh with one.
Yeah, yeah. That was a beautiful day until it was not so much. For Bono in BBQ, aiming going to turn back up towards this bottom side. A lane that we haven't really been speaking about too much is Gravity Field. Will stop the Tahm Kenshi in his tracks.
It's actually not the best matchup for Victor because Kai'Sa just power farms next to him, and then Kai'Sa's power farming. You don't feel too great about that. Advantage on the side of Afreeca is they're diving in, and the backline access, if Bono falls behind, is going to be lesser on the side of Hanwha Life. Speaking of Hanwha Life, though, we talked about Bono doing things, and with all these zoom-ins and zoom-outs, you can tell that Hanwha Life are very inclined to do something.
Yep, no teleports on the side of the Afreeca Freecs as W is going to land. But not actually followed through because Sangyun's not level 6 just yet. Didn't see that. Do get some turret plates, but Afreeca Freecs do survive on the bottom side, and they invest 4 members. Hero's entrance now on cooldown.
And just a Death Ray upgrade means you're never going to get more than the first round of turret plates. The moment you can walk back near the wave, then Victor does his Victor thing and the minions explode. So actually going to be the minimum lost on Afreeca. I guess the flash on aiming is a pretty significant one. But other than that, we return to the normalcy of topside. The matchup that pre-Worlds was going Aatrox's way and post-Worlds is going largely Urgot's way. So it is very much the 50-50.
Well, our solo lanes for Afreeca Freecs feels like it's playing out exactly as predicted. This is what I read on the packet, Papa Smithy, is that UCal and Keen, pretty damn good. And as you can see, they're able to get the shove in a lot of areas. You saw Keen pressuring Tal all the way out of that lane. Has moved over to Ignite just to have some more power. Lava has been roaming around, but see what is going to happen, as we know that Hanwha Life want to play around Sangyun and Key. Sangyun's farming. What can go wrong to stop this from working out? They're trying to put their clock together on the end of the game on the side of Hanwha Life.
And the Afreeca draft is the sort of one that you might have seen KT Rollster, based on their expected lineup, try to pull off, because it's aiming saying, I'm going to push waves, and it's the top side of the map that can be focused upon. You can play top side and say that aiming, because of the Victor champion, will lose the minimum. It's kind of like Ezreal, but with more reliable wave clear, is what the Victor is going to accomplish here. That should mean that get a big lead, the UCal and Keen, maybe even get Spirit a couple of kills, and in the top side we trust, in the flying V we trust, maybe an Afreeca and KT staple in LCK 2019. For now at least, CS for CS on the bot side, still waiting for the first paranoia from Spirit.
Well, that is the moment I'm waiting for as well, Papa, because we all know that first paranoia can decide what is going to happen in the game, especially now with this volatile meta that we find ourselves in. Rift Sculler, I'm not sure whether it actually is that low, whether it was Keen that just gave it a few bonks before he headed back towards the top side of the map.
No fried chicken anymore, no BBQ sponsorship or BBQ in the LCK.
Thankfully, Bono is in this game.
That's true.
So he can represent for his former team.
Aiming waddles to lane here is pretty satisfying. The little bolts from the minions
so
being interrupted by this particular Braum skin.
Probably one of the only reasons why you'd play this particular Braum skin.
Where are you at in terms of Braum skins?
I like holding up a chair, man. I like holding up a chair.
It's fair. I am also a pro wrestling fan by history,
I know that.
so the luchador mask and the big chair.
Mm-hmm. Because give him the door and give him the chair just feel fun to say.
Exactly.
As I'm a fan of talking about stuff, so there I am.
Well, there should be stuff to talk about when it comes to explosive engagements pretty soon. We're on the precipice of double pro to belt mid laners.
And also, we're just waiting for that R button to be pressed by Spirit, waiting for a lane to be in the right position for him.
Again, who's coming with him? In the laning phase, it is relevant. He can just ult someone and turret dive, right? But it's the later part where I feel like Afreeca's setup will have to be pretty precise, because if Nocturne goes in alone, he's stacking damage. He will die real fast. On the side of Hanwha Life, who say damned with all this farming, let's try something around the drink.
Well, Proud has used his spellbook to pop Ghost as he holds up the door once again. Hanwha Life Esports, they back away from the Mountain Drake. Spirit waiting in the wings.
He was revealed there, but I'm not sure if it was a vision or not.
I think it might have been a visual bug, as Spirit does have that shield. It means he's not going to get taunted up. The ult comes in. Spirit does die, but not after the mid laner goes down first. UCal immediately flashing after Bono. He's got this one. It's going to be the double. And Afreeca Freecs are well and truly on the board. The Claw of Doom, when will it come back off cooldown? 3 members around UCal right now is Keen. Not going to have an opportunity to get in, and he does pay for it with his life. 2 kills onto UCal, but I'm going to wait to see if he can pull off a TP play to justify the fact that kill gold goes over to Sangyun. As a response to this, aggressive play made by Afreeca. Again, hard to judge because of the visual bug. Here's the confirmation. He was in the brush. He wasn't just showing himself to the enemy. They come through here, and it's Halo Blade Xin Zhao, so you were never going to get away scot-free. There was always going to be some level of a trade. And UCal, who did a really good job of maximizing his damage, corrupting potion autos. Other reason he gets it at the speed he does. Still level 9, still only 2 points in his E, and thus no escape claw, as you were alluding to, Atlas. Yep, not quite able to get there with the Claw of Doom, and the Aatrox just a little bit tardy on his approach. Not going to lose out on too many minions, as he's still 23 CS in the lead over the Urgot. That question that you ask, Urgot versus Aatrox at this particular point in time, is Keen able to capitalize on that earlier gank, going in favor of Afreeca Freecs.
And that's why I came into Worlds the data point of Aatrox versus Urgot, with everything else being equal, being an Aatrox favored matchup. Didn't see it at Worlds. Didn't see much from the Korean team, so perhaps that was just a reality of the time period we were in. But back here, we do see Keen with a nice lead. Keen was one of our best Aatrox players when it was the previous Aatrox.
And then one of our first.
But then from Rift Rivals onwards, he wasn't playing the reworked Aatrox, so he's got a lot less stage games on reworked Aatrox here, so not as much inevitability about the performance we're about to see.
True. Did, when we got back from Rift Rivals, started playing the new one a little bit sooner, but all of our Korean players take a little while before they're confident bringing out the newly reworked champions, things like that. Was very excited to play Akali, though, if I remember correctly.
Understandable.
Yes.
Again, Keen and Yukal are these very, very young talents. Carry players by trade.
They feel like veterans, though, this year, Popper. It's really strange.
It is all relative, isn't it, Alice?
Yeah. Give them a year of play, and they feel like they've been here forever. Due to Sandbox and Damwon and even Griffin to a certain extent, even though they do have a season under their belt. It's only one.
I mentioned it in the pregame, Sungyun and Key are the most veteran status bot lane in the LCK. Just feels so surreal because there was always Brave Gorilla and Bang & Wolf, but no longer true. Core JJ and Ruler also had 2.5 years. Behind them, 2 years of Deft and Mata, and now the 2+ years of Sungyun and Key make them the veterans. Always been around top 5 when it came to bot lanes, but with the pre-existing synergy, like they were kind of alluding to in the pre-match trash talk, no longer is competitive good enough. They need to start winning games through bot lane because they are very, very solid, but being more than solid is what Hanwha Life need to be a contender.
The thing that I really like about what Hanwha set up for themselves is that they can move as slowly as they want with this comp. They're more than happy to bring it to a late game scenario. Of course, Freecs not too worried about it either. But if you can just get behind Sungyun, he's done almost on average over the 3 games that we've seen him in 40% of his team's damage. So if he can get to a late game Kai'Sa position, you best believe that he's going to be able to carry. Just feels like the game plan is relatively easy to play out here, as in waiting for a potential gank, but I doubt that Freecs are going to move up here on the bottom side of the map.
But there's one wrench in that particular thing, because I agree, with other things being equal, it looks like Hanwha Live should be able to outplay in late game team fights. One variable is if Spirit's paranoia just negates Galio's ult as an ability. Remember, you can't use that Galio ult in combat easily when that paranoia is out there. Then there is the potential that Kai'Sa dies and the team comp falls apart. So there is still counterplay available because of how the paranoia really shifts into some interesting team fight situations with globals. And given that, we're still waiting for that Paranoia Atlas. We saw a melee range one for damage, but we're still looking for someone to be caught in transition. Looking at the mini-map here, some very good defensive control wards from the side of Hanwha Life, but they don't give them any real aggressive vision here. So theoretically, Nocturne's side of the map is not established for Hanwha Life.
You can see Spirit's actually spending time here towards the top side, which is where Hanwha had focused their vision. Like you say, you drew our attention to that mini-map. Speckled is the bottom side of the map. Both teams with a lot of vision available around that Mountain Drake. No Drake's been taken yet. It was attempted by Hanwha earlier on. Now ward going down. Tal not wanting to give away that Rift Herald at all. Neutrals really being held on to by both of these sides when it comes to vision.
Will Keen be just a split push in the late game? Can they make this a 4-1 game on the side of Afreeca? Because Victor and Lysandra laugh at minion waves unless there's a Baron buff thrown in. So chance that Aatrox could just keep pushing forward and become monstrous.
Yeah, I actually like, Victor in the one, like you say. Clear out minions a lot faster than most of the AD carries that would otherwise be performing that role.
Wave clear, no slouch on the side of Hanwha Life, as Sungyun and Lava can also approach a minion wave and press Q.
Especially now, once that evolution has been put in to the queue. Depending on runes, of course, is Bono going to be running away once again from that Mountain Drake. No vision now available in that Dragon Pit for anyone.
No opinion yet on Proud, making his professional debut in Korea. Played, I believe, 4 games on Ever 8 Winners in 2016, but it's not really relevant, right? 3 years later, never played on Suning Gaming, despite being on the LPL squad. So at least was in the practice house and would have been keeping current. Jelly was decent without being fantastic in his first series.
Yeah, I feel like serviceable isn't necessarily what Freecs want, though. They want to have players that can play alongside these huge names in Keen and Yukal.
And a Freecs project since 2018, serviceable 5th place is not what they're looking for. The perennial 5th place team, I think, is looking to try to improve. And the only way to improve on their spring 2018 finish is to win. They were runners-up and then fell away a bit more in the summer season. Top side, we're seeing a fight as the Drake is being taken.
Oh, okay, ultimate not going to land, and Tal not going to be able to get in there. Has teleport available here as Spirit does take the dragon, but now can Sungyun find the damage, the taunt, the flash. Yukal does get the ultimate off just in the nick of time, and now Chaos Storm comes through. Proud with a flash, but misses everyone. And the Lissandra eventually falls down. Keen's got himself right into the middle of this team fight, though, has himself the World Ender running, but it's a bad news story for the Afreeca Freecs. The health bar's so incredibly low. That was aggressive. Istal has the shield from the Disdain, somehow keeps himself alive, and Hanwha Life Esports dominate the team fight.
They play it oh so well, and Afreeca think they're stronger than they are right now. They overrate their team fight re-engage. Could have looked more defensive, but instead, they go for it, they misplay it, and Hanwha Life, too good.
That was ridiculous. Couldn't believe that Tal had the gall to jump in that abyssal voyage.
Let's talk about this. Paranoia was used to stop the hero's entrance comboing for an initiation and guarantee the Drake. They got the Drake, but the call is made to re-engage now when the teleport is coming in. Keen, who enters the fight at 600 health odd, if you notice, comes in, and Hanwha Life say, wait, we can just turn on him and blow his ult, then he has no more threat. They fight as a 5, and this is a team fight fought with trust on the side of Hanwha Life. The re-engage is fine, the timings are clean. I think the practice suits Hanwha Life as they just are smarter in the 5v5.
It just looks like a best friends club, you know? That sort of team fighting when you can trust fall into one another is not what we've been used to seeing, especially today in a lot of our team fights in our earlier series.
And if you're Nofe, you pause the game and say, your jungler just used ultimate to guarantee you pick up the Drake without a fight, and your top lane is teleporting in with 700 health, why are we fighting? And that is a question I think the team as a whole will struggle to answer.
Yeah, I think so too. Not going to mean a crazy snowball or anything like that at this point, and the Drake did go over to Afreeca Freecs, so this game's still anyone's.
But you undo a lot of your good work. They got the Drake. It was a good use of the Paranoia. You don't jump in there. That's going to be a suicide one-way mission.
You stop the tape after the Drake falls down. You're like, nice work, Afreeca Freecs. Let's go. Keep playing it. You're like, ooh.
Still some bugs in the game plan from the usually well-oiled Afreeca Freecs. And Hanwha Life, man, what a comeback from almost a perfect game, it felt like, by Casey Rolster.
And looking at the results as well, I mean, 1-0-3 now for Sangyun. If there's ever been a win condition, it is always this guy for this team. He did need the extra longsword, so he didn't quite have the right options there in the runes, and has picked that one up to evolve.
Gank time.
As Spirit does have himself the shield, but gets just as punched. Look at the damage, misses it, but that's just to give the kill over to Sangyun, as our Proto Belt doesn't steal it away from the Kaiser.
Spirit reading the map poorly there. They have no control of this bot side. There was shallow vision, there was deep vision, then there was a dead Nocturne. Feeling like he's cosplaying here on a champion that usually is oh so intimidating. They're just squishing this Nocturne in his own jungle, continuing to push up. Look at the map state here. He has one control ward, knows nothing else. He sees Nocturne dive out of vision. Just too slow. He thinks he can power farm 2 camps. The power farm time is over. The laning phase is over. Nice invade by Lava and Bono. Well-deserved kill to Hanwha Life.
And also starts up the red buff on his non-vision side, which is the very curious part.
And now the bot lane pays the price.
Yeah.
No more control of the red side jungle. All coming apart for the Afreeca Freecs.
Those dominoes that you've spoken about so often seem to just be falling one after the other. That one dragon play has set Hanwha Life up for so many more plays.
And you have to feel like Dread, the aggressive jungler that played every game for Afreeca in Kesper Cup and the LCK until Game 2 of the most recent series, is probably getting some words from Nofe, I Love Uv, Yon. There's a very big coaching staff, Final Cap there as well. 4 coaches, including their head coach on the side of Afreeca, and looking for aggressive pass for Game 2. I would be very surprised to see them stick with Spirit, however good he plays from here, if they lose game number 1.
And that being said, I don't want to blame Spirit for this completely, because the Nocturne, just as a draft choice, doesn't necessarily fit this comp like it would otherwise. I mean, if you're on the side of Hanwha Life Esports, maybe you'd want to put it in to pair it up with that Galio, but like you said earlier on, who follows Spirit? Who does all this stuff? Yes, that mistake was, you could have been any champion, it doesn't actually matter. However, the Nocturne is a curious option here anyway.
The issue, though, is that the Karthus jungle was his choice, and you could also say the Karthus jungle was a bit wonky, and Nocturne is one of his evergreen champions. You know Spirit had input.
Yeah.
The moment you're allowed to play Karthus jungle on stage, you know that your jungler is being trusted to play something that he's practiced. At the end of the day, if you make good decisions like you did around Drake, you praise those, and if you read the jungle map wrong, you have to criticize those in the mid lane.
Yep, Proud already used his stand beside me, and the disdain is going to throw him back into the members of Hanwha Esports, exactly where they wanted them. Paranoia comes down, but Justice Punch is there to answer. They will get rid of the Galio, but now Keen makes his way into the team fight, wanting to save this Afreeca Freecs roster, and is going to do so by taking down Bono. They're not going to win that team fight, getting a couple of kills, but what more can Afreeca grab?
Lava and Bono feel like they're strong, and they are, but the turret, the situation where they really overforce to get the first kill, is turned on them quickly. Great flank teleport from Keen, enters the fight late, cleans it up, and the Infernal Drake and the mid lane turret, while trading up in kills, is what Afreeca Freecs pick up, and that actually brings the game into a bit of parity.
Yeah, this will completely even things out. That's both of the Drakes that have spawned this game going over to Afreeca. Let's see how this one worked. The pick on Proud actually felt pretty good.
But it's so deep. Tal has to go under turret and already is tanking turret from the start. And the turret never re-aggroes, so it's doing thousands of damage, it feels like, over the course of this fight. And then there's nothing left for Keen. Flashes, taunts, all of those were used to pick up the first kill on Proud, who is a support Braum. And from there, nicely cleaned up by Afreeca.
Yep, and quietly, Aiming has just sat there and built as much damage as he possibly can. Perfect Hex Core and the Luden's Echo, both completed. I want him to build a hat next for the I don't care about having any sort of stats other than ability power. He's going to really hurt when we get into these next few fights.
If the Victor build was a Jeopardy question, the answer would be, what is Wave Clear? Because he has the Hex Core upgrade and the Luden's done. This is a super Wave Clear build. If you're this backline Victor, which is usually what bot lane Victor represents, you could understand like a Lich Bane going for something like that.
Oh, hell
just
yeah,
have the intermittent poke in, get a bit of burst, poke out, trades. But this is purely, if Aatrox is big enough to beat Urgot, you ain't wave clearing or stopping the wave clear train on the side of Afreeca Freecs. So let's see if they play towards their items, because to me, 2 items now done. We're probably an item away, but Keen is teetering on potentially being able to overwhelm Urgot, however much armor stacking he does.
And Tal agrees with you, Papa. He's going to leave that lane as soon as he gets that wave pushed past the river. Going to head towards the mid. Teams up with Bono. Can they actually affect this map? Sangyun, remember, 2-0 and 4. He's still a big deal. Has the Rage Blade completed? This 2-item spike is something worth talking about. Yucal not going to waste any time, flashes immediately, but not going to be able to make enough distance with the Claw of Doom. It's a really nice exhaust to stop him from moving too far, and Lava with the timing on the Justice Punch will pick up Yucal all too easily.
Timing was important there, because another 2.5 seconds was about to be bought with the self-ultimate. Keen pops the Yomu. He's going to get bot lane turret. What do Hanwha Life do with their outnumbering on the map?
Well, they're moving over towards Baron. Pop Smithy. They've managed to take down the mid laner, but that's not exactly the jungle.
No wards
Spirit
here.
Can get in there. Turret is going to fall down. The teleport is available, but they're just doing this, Baron, right from under the noses of Afreeca Freecs. Spirit will get in there now. He has the opportunity of diving on forward. Does have the paranoia. Gets into the pick. Doesn't steal away the Baron. It's going to be Bono that locks it down. Proud is dead. Spirit immediately dies, and Hanwha Live, they will just jump all over the top of the Afreeca Freecs. They rolled the dice, and it came up double 60.
Exactly. It's all about the gambling and snake eyes for Afreeca. No Baron steal. It's close to a 50-50. But Hanwha Live put the faith in. The smite comes down, and so will the structures. That is a big change in fortune for Hanwha Live.
Absolutely. 11 kills, and 10 of them have been participated in by Sangyun. Let's look at this once again. Spirit had the perfect opportunity. That was a clear 50-50.
Let's watch to see if he gets in the bait. He does. There was a chance for a smite. It doesn't come in. Vision toggles there can be oh so important. And then it's Afreeca, man down, out of position, and an easy cleanup for Bono and friends.
Yep, not a lot that they could do. And Afreeca, you can imagine, be very upset.
Coach on air, Emperor, the CJ trio here, as Woong is the coach on the left, a name that a lot of our new viewers will not know, but the previous 80 carry of CJ Enters Frost and Mig Frost many years ago.
Playing back with some of the oldest names.
They're the CJ trio, because On Air was the first ever professional coach in Korea. He was the coach of Azubu Blaze, MIG, Blaze, and Frost way back when. So sometimes the old heads can pull a fast one, and Hanwha Life getting it together. Suddenly Afreeca. This game has been a roller coaster. It's gone both ways. Giving the Baron to Hanwha Life, that suddenly means that the guaranteed wave clear victor is now only a sometimes wave clear.
That's true. He now has an extra big stick, but I don't think that one is going to help them in these team fights if he just explodes, which is exactly what this build is going to do. If anyone gets anywhere near him, that shield will be large, but it'll be augmented by 0 resistances.
Speaking of 0.
Yep, there's not going to be an inner turret there for very much longer, and it's going to go down. Inner's still standing in the mid and bottom side of the map, and look at all of the vision from Hanwha. Around that Baron pit, you knew that that's exactly the play they wanted to go for.
All right, Hanwha Life. You're now in a scenario where Adaptive Helm is done, and finally Tal can say, all right, no split push win condition. I ain't dying to anyone for a while. Yep. That part is confirmed. So, it's about the one lane play. Suddenly, it needs to be about a very perfect Nocturne Lissandra play, stopping Sungyun from being relevant. Sungyun has a QSS. He also has the ability to just ult away and get a shield and thus not be burst. So it's tricky to see how Nocturne is relevant in a future team fight. And thus, if execution is 50-50, seems hard to see Hanwha Life not pushing forward and getting at minimum an inhibitor in the next minute or so.
Yeah, all but one of those evolutions now in there for Sungyun. 3 items, the 3 items that you'd want. 1,000 gold bounty. This Kai'Sa is definitely the most wanted on the side of Hanwha Life. Afreeca Freecs need to try and take Sungyun down, but standing around the mid lane is not going to do that. You're just going to bleed another inner turret. Bottom lane is going to get taken down. It looks like Hanwha Life want to shove this wave all the way in. They've got 2 cannons waiting in the wings.
Where's the Alamo here for Afreeca? When do you have to press your buttons and hope? No base broken yet, so I'd argue no need to here. We actually have the Baron buff power play gold on the top. That's a new one. 53.04 so far. Picked up here is watching Afreeca again. Fire to deceive. They do not want, they categorically do not want to go in aggressively, but also keeping their base strong is a nice little world to be in, given how the game's gone so far for Afreeca.
Yeah, and the good thing is, like you say, they've got a lot of wave clear, they've got a lot of ability to hold on. That's not what you want to do in this style of meta. Hanwha Life, they've got 1 Mountain Drake, but you can imagine that the rest of them will belong to them. The next Baron, which will be a little bit stronger, will belong to them too. It's just a matter of time. The war of attrition will just naturally be won by Hanwha Life Esports.
And I think that Bono, as we watch Keen walk through some perilous territory, actually has a lot more of an important role in this team fight than the usual Xinjiao, which is ER and hope for the best. In this case, his ultimate, that ability to crescent sweep and reset a team fight, you know people are diving for Sungyun, because probably the right call is still press all your buttons on Sungyun. He only has so much health, you might be able to burst it in spite of the Mercurial Scimitar.
Yeah.
Resetting the fight, stopping anyone else from joining and having the backline isolated while the front line will really struggle to kill Sungyun might be enough. It might allow for a Killer Instinct play from Sungyun to reposition, Sungyun to live, and I think if Sungyun is not instantly killed, Hanwha Life win 9 out of 10 team fights. So we'll see if the Crescent Sweep is going to be used for a reset as Sungyun's level 16. He's not funneled, but it's starting to feel like it because he's having a lot of fun and he's got a whole lot of items.
Yep, a lot of CS there as well. 3:36 at 29 minutes. Ain't too bad at all. He's been the one given all of the resources. He's the one that Hanwha Life Esports play around even more than they used to, and they certainly did in the past. God vision for a moment. The Black Sheep Wall has come down.
Meanwhile, Tal has a Warmox. That's not an item you ever see.
Yeah.
Onto the Urgot. And he doesn't need Flash. He just wants Exhaust. Maybe he can get a heal or a cleanse. And he just wants to waste time. And it will take just the most time to puncture through at least 2 rotations of the shield cooldown. Adaptive Helm, Gargoyle Stoneplate, I should say, and the Warmox. He is obscenely tanky.
He is. And also, I really like this. A lot of what Afreeca have is not DPS, it's all burst. So you may as well just go in there for a bit, take a bunch of damage, and then wander your way out, and then get it all back again. He actually lost none from Keen just there, so it was a poor example. However, if he had have taken damage, he would have regened it very quickly.
If he'd have taken damage is actually the subtext for Tal.
Yeah.
Here he comes.
Yeah, just walking towards the Afreeca Freecs. He will get pulled back with the Infernal Chains, but the message has been sent.
Doesn't do much, but it does give them first access on the minion wave in mid. Look at the Baron. It has respawned, of course. Making this about Baron, they need to be a bit more clear this time. We're seeing the vision from the side of Afreeca. Last Baron was a 50-50. We're seeing the engage.
Yeah, Tal using that disdain to go forward. Infernal Chain's not going to arm there as Yukal down to half health. They're just trying to soften up these members of the Afreeca Freecs. Lava does a lot of damage with those Winds of War. Even against UCal at this stage.
Schrodinger's Bush here, Atlas. Are they still going to be there for the camp every time is what Afreeca has to ask again and again. I saw correctly. I believe Zeke's convergence has been done. It's put on Spirit because you know what? Any extra damage, if they can overkill this Kai'Sa by 1 health, they'll feel good about it.
But can they actually get the fight that they're looking for? Hanwha should be able to get some agency on this one. Flashing forward, UCal does manage to get the Zhonyas down in time as Keen is sort of free hitting on this back end, aiming, trying to get the Chaos Storm in a decent position, but Lava grabs that first kill, and now it's just front to back for Hanwha Life Esports. Songyun having the greatest time ever as this full health Kai'Sa Keen does get a knock-up, but is it going to be enough? The answer is just a straight-up no. And Hanwha have just been team fighting better all game.
Lava's out of mana, but doesn't matter, can teleport back, and Freecs have a bigger problem. They're out of champions, 2 down. Spirit used his ultimate, but never found the time to go in. He could never click on Kai'Sa. Where is she? Where is she? Damn it, he was asking. They're gonna ask the same thing about the Baron. Where is she? Where is she? Well, she's dead. Half a second here. Goodbye, Baron. Goodbye, Freecs, unless they can find a miraculous team fight to turn around this game.
And remember, this is Freecs on the blue side with that very creative draft that managed to ban away all of these key picks for Hanwha Life Esports. Not going to be able to even get this Mountain Drake as Lava just bullies them out. You were endorsing bullying yesterday, Papa Smithy, and it's happening again on the Rift today.
Now, play though. This is not so much, well, you've got the early advantage. You need to bully them to keep it going. This is a game which was pretty even. And Hanwha Life have just straight up been better. And we had no way to read that into the teams as they prepared, given Afreeca's lack of information. You know, they were so easily taken down, and you could look at opponents and say, I understand why, but if they lose to Hanwha Life, maybe we have to just group them in with Genji, KT, and Kingzone at the bottom of the table, just like the standings will. Too tanky is the front line. Too safe is the Kai'Sa. Too many problems for Freecs to juggle.
And you might be thinking back home, why aren't we saying that Hanwha Life Esports should be grouped with the top teams, you know? This is the team that lost to KEG Seoul.
Yep.
This is the team that got knocked out of Kesper Cup in the first round.
By a team with no coach.
A team with no coach, full of amateurs. Yes, a squad that, you know, performed a lot better than they otherwise would. They took a game off Damwon, which was impressive. However, that is not a great way to start 2019.
I knew there would have been severe words. Hanwha, which is a massive org, the sort of org that doesn't really have too many holdings outside of Korea that a lot of people are aware of, but they are seen right up there with Samsung, CJ, and the big names of Korea. I'm sure there were words of what's going on here. Speaking of what's going on here.
Songyun wants to kill aiming. He doesn't manage to do so. The Chaos Storm does come down. He has to avoid it because aiming does do a lot of damage, but that has pressured him out of this mid lane.
Lifesteal with the Hurricane, going to be massive anyway, so they can afford to make slight mistakes like that and get away scot-free.
Was it even a mistake? I mean, chunking him out, getting out of there, he calculated that he'd be able to do so.
Tal doesn't need calculations. The question of will he live, the answer is always yes.
Yep. And they've got Devour as well, so it means that they can be a little bit more aggressive. And Tal, like you say, continuing to live. Even if he's standing in front of 4 people, not going to get excited.
I was trying to work out if they broke through his shield or it timed out. I'm going to go with timed out.
Yeah, I agree with you. But another minion wave, and another wave that is going to be difficult for the Freecs to defend because Tal just puts his face in front of the turret and takes it down. He's taking no damage at all. And Freecs are just watching as Hanwha Life Esports walk into their house and break all their stuff.
Learn anything from playing solo queue. If you watch the game around, you can't be surprised if you're watching some LP drop after the game is over. You want to control your own destiny. You want to make the move. They've got a Nocturne. He only goes in, and yet, have we even seen Spirit outside of the point-blank damage? Oh, gap close with the ultimate. I guess around a Baron, but that was not even for the team fight. They've never actually found a fight where he could use his ult for damage, and thus Hanwha Life take down 2 inhibitors, back away. Will it take an Elder? Will it take a 3rd Baron? That part doesn't feel fantastic as the timer does reach 36, but in almost every way, Hanwha Life have been on point. Well, now they've played the first 35 minutes.
Yep, another 10 seconds of Baron, so that one is over as the Abyssal Voyage from Key just to get some more vision control around this map. Their vision has been absolutely amazing, and you look down at the vision score, and it's Bono that's been able to clear out so much of what Afreeca have been putting in here. And a lot of that, you have to imagine, has to do with the fact that Proud is there on the roster as Spirit. He's been caught out, he's got no mana, and he's dead.
Baron does not spawn just yet. The Elder is a minute 40 away. How about a 3rd inhibitor for Hanwha Life? then that substitution we were talking about is 100% coming in as Hanwha Life want to get here and break the 30 inhibitor. And we're going in deep.
Oh, yeah, there's the flash from Bono. The hero's entrance is going to come down on top of him. There's Sungyun, that's a little bit too deep. He's going to get taken down. Tal not going to get too many fears with that one. But Afreeca Freecs may have halted them without so much of their DPS available. Man, Sungyun, that was a do or die, and he definitely died.
Don't ask Sungyun how many wheat picks he eats. He's the whole damn box, Atlas. They want to end the game, even though they don't have their Fede to carry.
Well, the flash from Lava means that they're going to be able to kill the mid laner of the Afreeca Freecs, Proud and Keen. The only ones left to try and defend. And Hanwha Life Esports, they still have so many of their players in here. Tal just disdains the gigantic world-ending Aatrox back into the team, and it doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter if Sungyun goes in and gives over 1,000 gold bounty when the game ends summarily. After that, Hanwha Life Esports continue a now 3-game win streak after going down to KT. They are 3-0, and right now it's looking like the smart money is on a short 2-0 win for a Hanwha Life Esports.
It's true. It's a crazy thing to think. I was thinking before this game that it should be Afreeca, and if this week has taught us anything, it's that should mean that Hanwha Life should be taking it out unless there's an SKT, Damwon, or Griffin in the equation. Hanwha Life Esports really looking like one of those dark horses, you know, one of those teams that really makes you smile, because it looks like they are the underdogs every single time, but they surprise you. They give you something that you weren't expecting from them, and things can go poorly in the early game, but they get it together. They bring themselves together, and it's fun to watch.
They remind me of MVP in spring of 2017 when they finished 4th. They went to Rift Rivals, and they were so much more than the sum of their parts. Yeah. Meanwhile, the teams that seem to have some really good parts have turned out more often than not, especially in LCK Spring 2019, to be way less than the sum of their parts. It's really intriguing how that's come to be, but the top side of the map that's supposed to be the way forward were bettered, not by a massive amount, but were bettered by the side of Hanwha Life Esports. And in the bot lane, where Sungyun and Key have been called upon to increase their reputation, they farmed it out. They didn't take the Sivir, they went for the Kai'Sa, but they used it oh so well when they needed to, and now they come away deserving victors in game number 1.
Absolutely fantastic play. Speaking of Victor, it is going to be aiming, taking away the prize for most damage in the game, but that doesn't matter if you don't win. It's a bit of 11,000 gold was the lead at the very end.
It's not the consolation prize you're looking for, because you don't even get MVP points for that one. Spirit's Nocturne was, unfortunately, even more of a passenger than his Karthus was. Need to reconsider how they're going to use those weapons, because we saw a different game where they could get things going in the laning phase, and yet we never saw a laning phase ult.